everybody. Welcome to the Ron and Craig Show. I'm Craig.
And I'm Ron.
And we want to let everybody know that you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out all our latest videos, updates, and you can email us even if that's necessary, ronandcraigshow@gmail.com.
They don't email anymore.
I think they do.
Everybody tweets.
And, of course, our special guest today, we're going to jump right in, is Lauren Cooley. She is seen on Fusion, One American News Network, HuffPost Video, Campus Reform, founder of Campus Red, Ron, and she is advocate for youth and politics. She went to Furman University to get her bachelor's, which is right down the road from us, and going to the University of Miami for her master's. And she was on Glenn Beck's show as well, and I think that's just the coolest thing.
That's a lot to accomplish. I mean, she's not done with her master's yet?
Listen to this. The Glenn Beck said that she is the millennial powerhouse spreading conservatism on college campuses. Can't be stopped, Glenn Beck.
Oh, okay. Well, just make me feel bad, Lauren. Hey, Lauren, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no. Hey, thanks for coming on. And we appreciate we had a little bit of technical difficulties off air, so nobody saw that. But thanks for holding with us, and thanks for standing by. We've had some storms here in South Carolina.
So Lauren, we'll just jump right in. And I'm Craig. This is Ron that was talking to you. Just want to ask you, what made you start Campus Red PAC? What is it that started that?
Well, to be honest, I was waiting to see other conservative campaigns start a youth campaign to really engage conservative young people, and it just didn't happen. I was looking to the candidates to do that. I was looking to the Republican Party to do that. And, I mean, there was a little bit of effort here and there, but in general, I knew that more could be done, and it could be done in a better way. And so I took it upon myself because I felt like I had the know-how. Obviously, I'm a millennial. I'm a graduate student, so I'm on campus often. I'm a campus organizer, and nobody else was doing it. So I kind of decided it needs to be done, especially where I live now in Florida. It's a swing state. It's really important. Where Florida goes, there goes the election many times. And so really it was just an initiative that I took upon just because nobody else was doing it, and I knew how important it was.
Now, you told Glenn Beck you read one of his books.
Yes, I'm a big Glenn Beck fan. Was even in high school, and read several of his books actually. But Common Sense was one of my favorite books that one of my favorite books I've ever read, and definitely was one of my favorite books in high school. So was in Dallas a couple months ago and got to meet him and go on his show, which was just a surreal opportunity, a really neat opportunity. Got to talk to him about, his impact in my political philosophy, and talk to him about reading his books. It was a neat opportunity for sure.
Well, let me ask you a couple things. As far as Glenn Beck, so you said during the primary, or when you started, like there wasn't enough political action from the conservative side on campuses. And really, how much of that, a couple of things. First, how much of that is because of campus, what I like to call just the campus, almost the Gestapo that are on the campuses today. I mean, if you are conservative on campus today, you're not going to get the time. You're not going to get, you'll get shouted down. You'll get ridiculed. I mean, just stepping forward and saying you're conservative is difficult enough. I mean, especially if you're in any kind of liberal arts education, you're outnumbered 30-1 just by your professors. So
yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I mean, there's the liberal bureaucracy on campus, like the red tape holding different student organizations back from actually being able to, do normal things that all other different student groups do that are either, left-leaning or apolitical. So that's definitely a tough challenge. And I also think, though, that there's this narrative that all young people are liberal. And so we've bought into that, and we don't really even bother to chase after the millennial vote anymore. And I think that's a huge problem, because that's not the case. Most young people, if anything, are apathetic, and the left makes a good,
that's refreshing to actually hear a younger person say that, because I think usually, and this really, I think, is kudos to you, because a lot of people, if they're younger, I've talked to some young folks that are involved at the college level, and maybe they're in college Republicans, or maybe they're in college Libertarians, whatever, Democrats, And then, but they live inside the bubble, so they think, well, everybody's, oh, we're involved. We're so politically active. You just don't understand it. And you're right. I would say no. I would say the apathy has just set into where, I can't say anything conservative, and I have to pretty much just go with the status flow. And most of them are supporting, for God's sakes, they're Bernie Sanders supporters. Right? He's huge.
Yeah, there's two types of these apolitical college students. There's the type that go with the flow and kind of jump on board something because it's what's put in front of them, and the left does a great job at marketing. That's something that we need to admit is they don't have a great message, but they've got a great vehicle for their message, right? So
right.
There's the students that jump on board because that's what's in front of them and it sounds good. And then there's also the apolitical students that just see politics as being messy and mean and infighting, and they're not attracted to it because they want to do things that are going to be positive, that they think are actually going to impact their community in a way that's not so much of this like dirty, down and dirty fighting. They see what happens if you're a conservative that expresses their views, or even they see a conservative and a liberal on campus fighting back and forth. They don't like it, and they've got other things to focus on. They've got a math test, or they've got to write a paper, or they're concerned about if the girl or guy in their class likes them, right? They got other things that they're focusing on, and that's no fault of their own. But when you're in college, politics a lot of times falls to the wayside, and so that's why I felt like Campus Red PAC's mission really was just to lower the barrier of entry into participating in the election, specifically for conservative students.
Right. So, Lauren, what is your main goal at where you're at now? Because you're still at the University of Miami, is that correct? Grad school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is your goal? What is your end goal in your career?
Well, I think an end goal is pretty difficult just because every time I think that I know what I'm doing, or I think I have like this idea of what like the ultimate point in my career would be, God comes in and closes one door, opens another, and says, haha, you thought you knew, what's best for you.
Give her a little
don't.
time there,
right?
Craig. Come on. How, I can ask you, how old are you? Like 20,
24?
What?
Yeah, 24.
24.
Mm-hmm.
She's 24. Give her a little time, Craig. A little time, okay? What's your end goal? Where are you going to be at the end of your life?
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's a good question. With that being said, though, my passion is getting youth involved in politics, especially supporting conservative youth, because I think it's pretty easy to get involved in politics if you're left-leaning, but I think it's more difficult for you to be a conservative young person. So that's my passion. So, whatever opportunity there is for me to be able to encourage and inspire young people to get involved in politics, I'll do that. So, right now, or for the election, it was running Campus Red PAC. Right now, it's encouraging students to continue doing proactive activism on campus.
How do you
and that's
do
part
that?
of what.
How
So
do
that's part
you do that?
Part of my tour that I'm doing. It's called Make Campus Great Again. Is really the idea that okay, we elected Trump. That's awesome, but now what? And so there are different things you can do on campus. It depends on what the big hot button issue is on campus, right? Because I think a lot of times we wait for the left to do something crazy, and then the conservatives rally around and they fight back.
Right.
My idea is that instead of waiting for the left to do something crazy, why don't we be proactive? And so a couple examples could be working with the on-campus law enforcement to make sure that the campus puts out a blanket statement that we're going to enforce the rule of law on campus, right? What would that actually look like, or what would that mean? That would mean you're not going to be a sanctuary campus. Another thing that you can do is you can fight against free speech zones on campus. So people think like free speech zone's a good thing because it sounds like an area that you can speak your mind freely, which yes, we want to speak our mind freely, but when it's just a zone, the rest of the campus is anti-free speech. And so you can fight against free speech zones trying to open up free speech on campus. Those are just a couple examples, but right now that's what I'm working on, doing a full tour this fall, going to several states and basically encouraging conservative students to step up and make a difference on campus, because the campus culture is definitely going to determine what happens across the country, 5 years down the road.
Right. Well, let's hope a lot of them grow up. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but if we're lucky, maybe some of them will actually see the light. Now, I gotta ask you. Okay, you're a big Glenn Beck fan, and I'm a Glenn Beck fan as well. I've listened to him for years. Um, and you said I think you worked for Alan West. Did you work for his campaign?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
an internship with him
Okay.
on his campaign.
All right. So, but you, all right, you just said we elected Trump. Okay, that's awesome. Um, okay, how does that jive with like the Glenn Beck? Because we all know, I mean, anyone who follows politics knows how Glenn felt about Donald Trump.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm thinking in the primary, maybe you weren't a Trump supporter, and then am I right or?
Oh yeah, you're definitely correct. I mean, if I could place somebody in the presidency and just kind of drop them there, and I got to nominate them, and without any democracy, I'd probably put Rand Paul or Ted Cruz up
Rand
there,
Paul,
and
Ted
those were
Cruz.
the
Yep.
people that
Yep. That's
I
it.
really
Yep.
supported in the primary. But
Me,
we had a
I did as
reality of
well, but I mean, um, how has that transition worked? I mean, because for me, it's getting easier to like Donald Trump. I don't know if that's just because the left has gone like literally bat crazy. I mean, and I think they have. That's not hyperbole. I'm not trying to just say that. I mean, if you listen to any of the hearings, or if you listen to any of the things that are going on, like the campuses, Berkeley, I mean, uh, UMass, anywhere. I mean, the left is just losing their mind, and the more
oh
they
yeah,
lose their mind, the more I'm like, you are losing America. You're losing the real voters out there, the vast majority. Okay.
yeah, I completely agree. I think it's almost like it's been a mess for a while, but now they've pulled back the curtain and they're kind of showing us how they really feel. Uh, and I think a lot of middle of the road people are going, well, man, I don't identify with the people who riot when they don't get their way. I don't identify with the people that think everything is offensive and that's all they focus on. It's looking for things to be offended by.
And free
I think
speech
that's
is
a
shutting
good
speech
thing.
down. Like,
Yeah,
how
it's like opposite
Orwellian
day
is
on
that?
college
Like,
campuses.
we are going to go and protest. We're going to use our free speech right to go protest someone giving a speech. I mean, that's just So I guess some pigs are more equal than others. But I mean, it just, it doesn't. I don't get it. And the more they go down that road, I think you're right. The more they go down that road, the more people with common sense and a little bit of thought will look at it and say, uh, when did when did we become a nation of radicals? Because we are not a nation of radicals. But California, now they're talking about they're going to do socialized medicine just in California. They are going to have on their next ballot. I don't know if you knew this, Greg. On the next ballot in California, 2018, secession is going to be on the ballot in California.
In California, yeah.
I'm all for that, by the way. I think we get rid of all the crazy voters.
I am
We
too.
get rid of all their debt, let them go
I
sink in
am
an
too.
island of debt by themselves,
Right.
and we'll be better for it, you know?
You watch how quick the wall goes up between California and Arizona. Then,
Lauren,
okay?
what is the what obstacles do you run across, or what things have you been threatened, or have you had people try to bully you or scare you? You know what I mean? As far as if you were to be on campus, or have you not had any trouble at all?
Um, I've definitely run into roadblocks. I've definitely dealt with my fair share of liberal professors that didn't agree with me and made it pretty clear. Um, Now, at University of Miami, and it may be because it's a graduate student program, they've been pretty good to me. I have to give them that for sure. And there's things that go on campus in other departments that I disagree with that I think is liberal bias. But overall, I've had a pretty good experience there. At Furman, now, and this is somewhere that maybe you guys won't be surprised, but most people that I talk to are surprised that a college in South Carolina of all places
Right.
was so liberal. So in Furman, I had definitely came across a lot of pushback. Now I was an active, campus activist, and I made it known how I felt about the goings on campus. But it got to the point where really I couldn't walk through a department, walk down the hall through any department in the entire campus without a professor that had either said nasty comments to my face or had bullied my conservative student group by literally posting nasty things on Facebook. It definitely was a more hostile situation
And
than what
these
I've
are the
experienced in
adults.
Miami.
These are the adults in the room, right? I
Right,
mean,
these are
these are
the
the
adults
ones.
teaching civil discourse, teaching
Oh,
students how they're
sure.
supposed to act in the
Yeah.
real world. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you said
I just.
something on Glenn Beck about someone dressing up as Muslims, or on one of your interviews. What was that about? Or trying to, or on at Furman, they were dressing up.
Oh yes.
What was that about?
So we brought Nani Darwish to campus, and she basically talks about how Islam and Middle Eastern countries have such a bad record on women's rights. Pretty standard message, nothing too radical. And the day that we brought her to campus, it was before the event. It wasn't myself, but it was one of our club officers, got a phone call from the Furman Police Department, and it basically said, we've had um, some some phone calls and some threats that we need to check out. We want to know why you have this speaker coming, because it's so controversial. Apparently, the the is I think it was the Muslim Student Association had some issues with it. And so we're walking around campus, and that day we saw people dressed in full Muslim garb, and they're having backpacks on with TV remotes. And to me, that is pretty obvious depiction of I've got some type of like backpack bomb on, right? Nothing came of it. Obviously, that would have been all over the news. But
Right.
I think these were just tactics that they were using to try to shut down our speaking event. Now, it
Right.
ended up going on. The Muslim Student Association actually came into the event and then screamed questions at our speaker. It was kind of a weird exchange, but at least we got to bring our speaker to campus. But yeah, I think that's probably what you heard on the interview is basically the left tries to employ all these very strange and
Scare
threatening
like scare
tactics.
tactics. Yeah.
Just to shut down speech because they know that if people hear the truth,
Have you
their
read
ideology is going to
Saul
look bad.
Lewinsky? Have you read Saul Lewinsky? Have
Oh
you?
yeah, I'm a
Okay.
big. I
There
tell
you go.
people this, and I say I'm a big Saul Alinsky fan,
Yep.
not because of what he believed in, but I think that he was an excellent tactician.
Oh, right. And so did Hillary Clinton thought so too. I mean, that was her thesis paper. And
Hmm.
let's not forget, both her and Bill Obama, all huge fans of Saul Lewinsky. The tactics can be used by either side, but
Right.
I just think
I,
it's great that finally there's a college voices are
yeah.
starting to come up, because I mean, I said before, I've got a 20-year-old daughter, right? She's in and she hates whenever I talk, even to bring her up. Don't talk about me. But she's 20 years old. She's in college. She's in her sophomore year, going into her junior year. And I hear all the time about, I'm not going to, this one professor said this. I'm like, why didn't you say anything? She goes, no way. I'm not going to say anything. I'll get a bad grade. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. I was like, so I really actually thought about just telling her, listen, why don't you just go learn what you need to learn somewhere and forget about there's a big movement among a lot of people to just divorce themselves from the college experience. Now, I for one believe in education. Let me just start with that point. I believe in education. I believe that you should be educated, but I don't know if that's what's happening now. I think now it's not so much education as it is indoctrination. It's turned into
Right.
into almost like a breeding ground, a fertile breeding ground for more liberals later.
Oh
And
yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think it's almost like conservative students have it doubly as hard to go to class because they don't just go to class and have to learn. They have to go to class, listen to everything their professor says, pit that against their own ideology. Say, what do I accept? What do I think is definitely, some liberal bias? Regardless, I have to memorize all this so I can, regurgitate it in a paper or on a test. But then what am I actually going to take and implement in my own life? What do I think is a bunch of nonsense that's just this professor's opinion? And I think it makes it more difficult for at least conservative students to learn.
I mean,
And then
at
there's
some
also
point in
the
higher
the
learning,
joke.
don't we have to change that? I mean, how? I mean, looking forward, okay, now you're getting your master's, which is fantastic. Go on, get your PhD. You should teach somewhere, okay? But I mean, you should be a professor somewhere. But here's the other side of that, Lauren. The chances of you being a professor, as intelligent as you are, and I mean, from your resume and just talking to you, you can tell that you possess a really great intellect. And here's the thing, you getting a position at a school that has so-called, and I will say now, so-called prestige is slim to none, especially if you're outspoken, if you're an outspoken conservative. Are you kidding me? I mean, there's only a handful of colleges that you can go to that will applaud that. I mean, and I literally mean a handful. I can think of Heritage, where else? Liberty, maybe. I can't think of that many. Yeah, conservative that actually will applaud a conservative professor. No, you'll be ostracized. They'll say, "How could you?" They may even. I mean, they might. They may. The students may rise up and say, "We won't let this professor teach at our school." I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, I don't envy your position because you are so outnumbered. I admire your tenacity, and I greatly admire the fact that you don't just sit down and take it, because the new civil rights movement is going to be for conservatives. Trust me, it is. The next big civil rights movement is going to be for the civil rights of young conservatives in schools, professors. They're being blackballed. This is Russia. This is China. This is Mao. These are tactics. And I'm not over exaggerating. I wish I was. I mean, people go, "Oh well, Ron, you're just saying these things to try to hype it up. It's all part of the show." But no, it's not. This is, I mean, and right. Lauren, I think you can testify to what I'm saying, that this is happening
absolutely.
As we speak, and we need more
as
like
you. As you're talking, I can think of multiple professors that I know that have dealt with being suspended, or even losing their own tenure for being a conservative professor on a liberal campus. And so, is that the case at every single university? Maybe or maybe not, but it's definitely the case at the majority.
I want to jump in. This is Craig. One question I have, and I wasn't trying to be funny when I said that.
I want to jump in. It's Craig.
Yeah, I grew up as Republican, and then I changed that over to conservative. My concern now is rhinos. Is rhinos a real big problem? Republicans in name only, and they're going undercover to act like there's something they're not, to get in the way. What do you think about
Lindsey
that?
Graham. What? I'm sorry.
I mean, so I as far as rhinos go, I mean, there's different levels of rhinos, right? So there's rhinos that people call someone a rhino and they're a moderate, right? They still are part of the conservative force, and we can agree on maybe 70-80%. Then there's people who are literally Republicans in name only, that it's very clear they're Democrats running as Republicans because it's easier to get elected in maybe a Republican county.
Did they live in Maine? Any of them live in Maine? Or maybe in Arizona? Or maybe in South Carolina? Do you think? Some of them?
Yeah, there's some. I think that's the case. And so when it comes to the issue of rhinos, and maybe I have this viewpoint because I'm so outnumbered when I'm on campus, but I look at it like this: when you're on campus and the liberal student union or the progressive student union is doing some big demonstration, I'm looking around for the libertarians, the social conservatives, the fiscal conservatives, the neocons, the moderate Republicans. If you're moderate to right, I don't care what all we agree on. I just need somebody that's in my camp on the general issues, right? And so I'm a very principled person. I very much believe in very specific, constitutional values. However, I know that when you're fighting against the extreme left, you have to be very accepting of anyone who wants to be your ally. And so when it comes to rhinos, if they don't want to be your ally, then they're absolutely, a rhino in negative context.
Well,
when it comes to moderates,
right. They're useless.
Yeah, when it comes to moderates, if you can agree with them on, 50-60% of the issues even, I'm used to saying, you know what, we're in the trenches, so anybody who wants to join us, please join us. You're welcome to.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
And I think when you're the minority, you definitely have to subscribe to that.
Do you see in your career constantly staying with colleges and trying to build up that youth, even once you've graduated grad school and moved on to the professional world of working somewhere? Is that where your passion's still going to lie, or you don't know at this point?
It's definitely a passion of mine. I think that a lot of people get started in something like a college Republicans. They get their feet wet on a campaign, and then they move to DC. They work on the Hill, and they kind of forget, the battle on campus because
DC will
they
eat you
can.
up. DC will eat you alive. I mean, people in general. I've lived in DC for a little while, and that world is a different world.
I think
totally
it's definitely the swamp. It's definitely the swamp.
it is the swamp, and it doesn't matter. It's like think of it. I always tell people I think of it like the hooligans in. I lived for a year in London, and when the football teams play, it's really you wear a red scarf or a blue scarf, but it doesn't matter. The tactics they use are the same. The infighting, it's the power grabs, all of that stuff. It all goes on, and I've seen that. It is a definite. It's an eye opener, that's for sure. But I had a question I wanted to ask you real quick. You were talking about moderates, okay? And by the way, thanks again. Just people might have just tuned in, just started listening. We're talking with
Lauren Cooley.
Uh-huh.
And she has started up Make Campuses Great Again. Is that your motto, Lauren?
Yeah, but it's the Make Campus Great Again tour.
That's the tour.
And
right?
she is the executive director of Campus Red Pack.
Yes.
And so she's leading the way.
And has a much greater resume than I ever had at 24. So, I mean, you got me beat. 24, I think I was like wondering if I would be able to become the manager at the Domino's. I'm not sure if that's exactly where it was, but
Lauren, yeah, right. Lauren, where can anyone that's listening get a hold of you, and if they wanted to start something like this on their campus or get you to speak for them, what would you have them to go to?
So I'm extremely active on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, you can always follow me. I will most likely follow back. Shoot me a message. It's at Lauren A. Cooley. That's my handle on Twitter. And if you're not on Twitter or you want to send me a longer email, you can always go to my website, my personal website. It's laurencooley.com. And there's a contact tab. You can send me a message that way. But we're gearing up for Make Campus Great Again tour this fall. We've gotten some really great coverage on CNN and New York Times and Glenn Beck's show.
Oh, yeah.
So if people are looking to bring a speaker, it doesn't have to just be on campus. I can definitely incorporate other stops. But
I think
if
you
anybody's
talked
looking
at a
for
Tea Party.
someone,
Yeah, I saw you talking at a Tea Party event on one of the YouTube shows.
I had the question.
What's that?
I just, because she was talking about moderate. Let me ask you this, Lauren. I know there are so-called moderate Republicans, but here's my question. Where are the moderate Democrats? Do you know? Do they exist? Where are they at?
that's a good question. And I like I said a little earlier, I feel like Democrats on the left have kind of been far to the left progressive and for a long time, and now they're finally pulling back the curtain, and we can kind of see that in reality.
But they're polarizing, I think, themselves. I think they really are.
And I think they've gone from even being progressive to now they're almost the regressive left, right? They used to be like the party of change and progress. Now they're completely backsliding, right? So it's they used to say, oh, well, we're for the minorities. Well, now they're enforcing, at least on campus, these minority only graduations and these like dorm rooms that are only for Black students. That's segregation, right?
I can't believe that. When I saw that, I said, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, and we've got a beeping noise going.
Yeah, just ignore that. It'll go away. I promise. Go ahead, Ron.
I told you we've had like storms. The fact that we're even still working right now is amazing because there was like the heavens opened up. But no, we were talking about the as far as like the left like totally polarizing themselves and turning really into almost straight up Marx. I mean, if you look at Bernie Sanders is a great example, right?
Right.
How many young people have I talked to that said, "Oh, I'm a big Bernie fan," and I try to talk sense to them, and it's like talking to a brick wall. It's all they hear is free school, free school, free school, free school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it. And I don't. Are they here free stuff? Who was it? I think it was. I want to say Thoreau. No, but I forget. Anyway, the quote was, "Once the people realize that they can rob the purse to the ballot box, the republic is finished," and
Right.
that's absolutely true. I just don't know. I hope I'm really inspired when I talk with someone, especially like you, Lauren, who's like uh, young and bright and gets it and understands, and can articulate that point well. And I just personally, it's very inspiring for me. I'm an old man. I'm a 52-year-old, cranky old guy. So I mean, I'm just yelling at people to get off my yard. But so it's different. It's different hearing it from a young voice.
Lauren, before we let you go, because I know we've held you up and really appreciate your time. When you was in Greenville, South Carolina, right near us here, what are some of the? You went to the Swamp Rabbit Trail or the Swamp Rabbit Cafe? What was it? Did you go downtown? Any hot spots or anything you remember?
You know what I remember? I remember going to Waffle House in TR, and I remember going to the one I think it's like the only Chinese food place in Travelers Rest. Those were like
Yeah.
the best. That's nothing special or fancy, but like that's what I remember from my college days. That and driving all the way to the Greenville Mall to go to the Steak and Shake. It was like a 25-minute drive, I think, from campus, but it was like the
Oh
only
yeah.
place open late at night. I think now there's a cookout, but
Yeah.
for the longest time, if you were studying till 2, 3 in the morning, like Steak and Shake's the only thing that's open.
Right.
It's a good
And
drive.
Waffle House.
Yeah, and Waffle House. But sometimes like you can't just have like greasy Waffle House like every single night. Sometimes you got to put some greasy Steak and Shake into the mix.
Right. Yeah, it does help.
So,
It does help. It does help.
and I
yeah.
mean, I went downtown and stuff too, but I mean those are the where I had the real memories. So I had I have very fond memories of being in Greenville and in Travelers Rest. So
Well, hopefully
it's neat to talk to you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll be back through the area, and we'll have you on the show again. But we're going to be keeping up with you. We're going to be sending links out for the show today, and letting everyone know about it. And I'll be letting you know. And we appreciate
And
it. So,
on our YouTube channel, because I think we are recording this, right?
yeah,
It's
and,
pictures of us. You made me put
All
on
right.
this jacket.
yeah. So
I'm actually wearing a jacket.
yeah, I got Rhonda dressed up just for.
Well, I got
for
my
the
black
occasion.
T-shirt, which is what I wear all the time.
See, I appreciate that because I'm not dressed up. I'm in Nike running shorts and a
No
University
way.
of Miami T-shirt.
No,
so
I don't believe that. There's no.
I,
Well,
bel- I
I
believe
mean, I'm
it.
in a
I
ball
believe
gown right now, and
Oh, ball-
I've got hair and
very-
makeup and high heels.
yeah, I know you
So-
dressed up. I know you dressed up.
it. Just for the phone.
One
That's
last,
what it was.
Yes,
One
exactly.
last question. I'll let you go. What hobbies do you do outside of politics?
I'm a musician and I'm a worship leader at my church, and I really like good food. So I'm a foodie. I like to try out new places, and
That's awesome.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Miami must be awesome. Cuban food.
oh yeah, some great Cuban food.
Oh, kid, love that. Jamaican. Oh man.
All right, so you've
Oh.
been.
That-
Go ahead.
That's the one thing I missed in South Carolina was I couldn't find some really good Cuban food. There's great Mexican food,
Yeah.
but there's a big difference. And if you know the difference,
Oh yeah.
I
Huge.
definitely would miss
It's
that
totally
on my
different, yeah.
Christmas break. We'll be getting some Cuban food.
All right.
That's awesome.
Well, Lauren, thanks a lot. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
joining us, and thanks so much for being so patient. We had all the technical difficulties earlier, and of course, nobody's going to hear or see that, but Lauren really stuck with us through no, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. No, I can't hear that. No, I can't hear that. But we really appreciate your time. And again, one more time, give them out your Twitter and
Website.
Your website.
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is at Lauren A. Cooley, and my website is laurencooley.com. That's LaurenCooley.com.
All right, and go there, folks. Make a difference and help out. This is our youth. This is where the change has to be made, or else the ship is going to sink. So this is really important. Go out and help her. Thanks again, Lauren, and
Thank you,
we
Lauren.
look forward to hearing from you later.
Yeah, thanks so
All
much.
right, thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well, that
All
was fantastic.
All right, guys. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
All right,
man.
Ron, I thought you just gave me a high five. All right,
I'm giving you open like this.
we're the Ron and Craig Show. Follow us on Facebook.
I'm the good-looking one on the left.
Yeah, this is Ron. I'm Craig. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Also, subscribe to our YouTube
I mean,
channel.
the real good-looking one right here. See
we
this?
just spoke with Lauren Cooley.
this.
Check her out.
Hey, I like that. I
Starting
like
with she
I liked
started
her.
the Campus Red Pack
I liked her.
right near us, right here in the hometown. So thank you guys.
Do we
Join
have any
us.
more time, or is that it?
We're out of time. That
We're
was,
out of time already.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Thank you
Okay.
guys for joining this Ron and Craig Show.
Thanks for joining us, and I wore this jacket. Just want to know.
Looks good.
I look like a mafia FBI guy. I think.
That's why